The twin suns were sinking below the jagged horizon of Elithra, painting the sky with streaks of crimson and gold. Captain Ethan had just returned from a long scouting mission, his ship gliding smoothly above the uncharted forests below. He had expected a quiet evening, a chance to rest, and perhaps some time to write messages home. But the small blinking light on his communicator shattered that peace. A distress signal. It was weak, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. Ethan frowned, his instincts kicking in. The signal was coming from a dense forest region on the planet's northern edge, an area known for its unpredictable wildlife and treacherous terrain. He didn't hesitate. Despite the long mission, the human in him couldn't ignore a call for help, especially when the pattern of the signal felt strangely familiar. His ship touched down gently on a clearing, and Ethan stepped out, scanning the forest with his enhanced visor. The air smelled sharp and fresh, carrying the faint hum of alien energy that seemed to pulse through the ground. The forest was alive. Vines swayed as if breathing, strange glowing plants cast a soft light, and distant calls of alien creatures echoed through the trees. Then he saw her, Lyra. His heart lurched. She was lying on the ground, partially hidden beneath a tangle of broken branches. Her long, iridescent hair was matted with dirt and blood, and the elegant markings along her arms and neck, which normally glow with life, were dim. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. The alien warrior who had captured his heart looked fragile, vulnerable, something he had never imagined seeing. "Lyra!" he shouted, rushing to her side. She tried to lift her head, but a groan escaped her lips, and her eyes fluttered weakly. Her fingers twitched, reaching out toward him, and in that simple gesture, Ethan felt a wave of desperation and determination wash over him. She had survived something terrible, but she wouldn't survive long out here without help. Ethan knelt beside her, quickly assessing her injuries. Cuts and bruises covered her arms and legs, and her left shoulder seemed dislocated. More concerning was the faint pulsing in her chest. Her energy core was weak. On Elithra, the energy marks weren't just decorative. They were signs of life, strength, and vitality. Watching them fade was like seeing a light dim in the universe itself. "Hold on," Ethan whispered, his voice steady even though his heart raced. He gently lifted her into his arms, careful not to worsen her injuries. "I've got you. You're safe now." Lyra's eyes met his, and for a brief moment, she tried to speak. Her alien tongue formed sounds Ethan couldn't understand fully, but the emotion was clear: fear, relief, and something softer, something like gratitude. He squeezed her hand gently, reassuring her with every movement. The forest was not forgiving. As Ethan carried her, the ground beneath them shifted, roots twisting into thick obstacles. Strange creatures, attracted by movement, began to stir in the underbrush. Ethan moved with careful precision, using both his human strength and the agility he had learned from training alongside Elithran warriors. One misstep could mean injury for him, or worse, for Lyra. Ours seemed to pass in a blur. Ethan whispered stories to her, little anecdotes from their past, moments of laughter and closeness. "Remember the time you taught me to meditate under the twin moons?" he said softly. "I nearly fell asleep and rolled off that cliff. You laughed for ours." Lyra's lips quivered into a faint smile, a small spark of her usual warmth returning. He made sure to keep her covered with a protective thermal blanket from his pack, one of the few comforts they had in the wild. Despite the pain and exhaustion, he spoke to her gently, sharing his determination to keep her alive. Each word, each careful movement, reinforced the bond they shared. Humans, he thought, had a stubborn strength, but it was more than physical. It was the refusal to give up on someone they loved, eventually. The forest gave way to a small clearing where the air shimmered faintly with alien energy. Ethan recognized the signs. This was a place Lyra had told him about once, a sanctuary hidden deep within the northern woods. Few outsiders knew of it, and its energy was said to accelerate healing for those attuned to it. It was risky, but it was their best chance. He laid her down gently on the soft moss bed that covered the clearing. The air here felt alive, humming with warmth and light. Ethan carefully inspected her wounds again, improvising with what supplies he had: antiseptic patches, bandages, and the healing salve Lyra had once given him in case of emergencies. His hands worked with precision, guided by the memory of every lesson she had taught him. "Almost there," he murmured. "Just a little longer, Lyra." She tried to sit up, but her strength failed. Ethan held her close, whispering encouragement, and slowly she relaxed, letting him take full responsibility. The alien warrior who could face armies now depended entirely on him, and he felt the weight of that trust pressing on his heart. But rather than fear, he felt honor and purpose. He would protect her, no matter the cost. As night fell and the twin moons rose, casting a gentle silver light over the clearing, Ethan continued his vigil. He whispered stories of home, of humanity's resilience, of the countless explorers who had faced dangers far greater than this. He reminded her of their shared dreams, the plans they had made together for life beyond Elithra. Lyra's breathing grew steadier. Her energy marks flickered faintly, responding to the care and warmth around her. Ethan smiled softly, a small victory in the midst of hardship. Even in the darkest moments, love could be a powerful force, stronger than fear, pain, or exhaustion. Hours later, just as the first rays of dawn began to pierce the forest canopy, Lyra's eyes opened fully. She tried to speak, and this time, Ethan could understand a single word in her broken English. "Ethan, I'm here," he said, squeezing her hand gently. "I'm not going anywhere." For a moment, they simply looked at each other. No words could capture the depth of what had passed, the terror, the exhaustion, the unwavering commitment. It was a bond forged not just in love, but in the raw, undeniable courage of a human determined to save someone he cherished above all else. The forest around them was alive, but in that clearing, nothing mattered except the human and the alien who had defied the dangers of the universe to find each other. And as Ethan prepared to move her further into the sanctuary, to continue the long journey toward full healing, he knew one truth more clearly than ever: no matter the odds, humans could rise to challenges that even the stars themselves might fear. And with that resolve, the first chapter of their struggle and reunion came to an end, a chapter of care, courage, and love that would inspire every heart it touched. The first light of Elithra's twin suns bathed the forest in a soft, golden glow. Ethan stayed close to Lyra, who was resting on the moss-covered ground in the sanctuary clearing. Her breathing was slow but steady, and her energy marks glimmered faintly, a sign of recovery. Yet Ethan knew this was only the beginning. She had survived the attack, but she was still fragile, and the dangers of the alien wilderness were far from over. He carefully checked her bandages, making sure no dirt or debris had entered her wounds overnight. Using a small vial of healing salve, he gently dabbed her cuts, speaking softly as he worked. "You're doing well," he said. "I know it hurts, but you're getting stronger. Just a little more." Lyra, her eyes opened slowly, revealing a mixture of pain and gratitude. She reached for his hand, weak but insistent. Ethan squeezed her fingers gently. "I won't let anything happen to you," he promised. "You're safe now." The forest around them stirred with life. Strange birds with translucent wings flitted between the trees, their chirps echoing softly, and small, glowing insects hovered like fireflies. Ethan noticed a few curious creatures observing from the shadows, drawn perhaps by Lyra's energy or by the human's presence. But he didn't feel fear. Humans had always learned to adapt, to survive, and to protect those they loved. He trusted in both his skill and his determination. Knowing Lyra could not remain in the clearing forever, Ethan prepared to move her to a safer, more permanent location. He had remembered her description of a hidden cave deeper in the forest, a place of natural healing energy where Lithrans often went to recover from injuries or illness. It would be dangerous to navigate, but it was their best chance. He lifted her carefully, supporting her weakened body against his chest. Each step required precision. The forest floor was uneven, roots twisting like serpents, and small streams of water crisscrossed their path. Ethan moved slowly but steadily, speaking words of reassurance the entire way. "Almost there," he said. "Stay with me. I've got you." The journey was longer and harder than he expected. By mid-morning, sweat glistened on his forehead, and his muscles ached, but he never wavered. Every time Lyra groaned in pain, he adjusted her position gently, whispering encouragement. At one point, a low growl echoed from the trees. Ethan froze, scanning the shadows. A predator, massive and silent, watched them from a distance. Its skin shimmered like liquid metal, and its eyes glowed faintly. Ethan's heart raced, but he didn't panic. Slowly, he crouched, placing Lyra behind a thick tree trunk, and reached for a small energy pulse device he carried. One precise burst, and the creature would be driven back without harm. He activated it. A soft hum filled the air, and the predator hissed, retreating into the forest. Ethan exhaled in relief. Lyra, sensing the danger had passed, closed her eyes briefly, trusting him completely. They pressed on, crossing a narrow stream where slippery rocks threatened to topple them. Ethan held Lyra firmly, using his free hand to test each step ahead. At one point, she reached up and rested her head against his shoulder. "Ethan," she whispered weakly. He responded with a gentle kiss on her forehead, silently promising that nothing would break them apart. By afternoon, the canopy above them began to thin, revealing the glimmer of Elithra's twin moons reflecting on a distant mountain range. Ethan recognized the area. They were nearing the hidden cave. The forest grew denser again, but now it was filled with a soft, magical glow, the energy of the sanctuary guiding their path. Finally, after hours of careful trekking, they reached the entrance. It was hidden behind a waterfall that shimmered with violet light. Ethan set Lyra down gently on a flat rock, helping her steady herself. "We're here," he said, his voice soft but full of relief. "You're safe now." The cave inside was breathtaking. Stalactites of glowing crystal hung from the ceiling, casting rainbow light across the walls. A small stream of warm water flowed through the center, its surface sparkling as it passed over smooth stones. The air was warm and infused with natural energy. Ethan had read about these caves in Elithran records, but seeing it in person was different. It felt alive, almost sentient. As if welcoming Lyra back to life, he led her inside carefully, making sure she didn't slip on the wet stones. They found a wide ledge near the water where she could rest. Ethan spread his pack's thermal blanket beneath her and gently adjusted her posture so she could breathe easily. He checked each wound again, cleaning and applying fresh salve. As he worked, he spoke softly, recounting memories of their shared adventures. "Do you remember the first time we flew above the Elithran plains?" he asked, smiling despite the tension. "You laughed when I nearly collided with a flock of skydrifters. You told me not to let my human clumsiness get the better of me." Lyra's lips curved into a faint smile, her energy marks flickering brighter as if responding to his words. Hours passed. Ethan never left her side. He fed her small sips of water mixed with nutrient gel, encouraged her to rest, and kept her warm. Every now and then, he would adjust the blanket, making sure no part of her body was exposed to the cave's cooler spots. Lyra, feeling the warmth and care surrounding her, began to relax fully, letting go of the fear that had held her captive since the attack. Night fell inside the cave, and Ethan continued to talk to her. His voice was steady, a constant reassurance in the quiet of the sanctuary. "Humans have faced worse than this," he said, almost as if reminding himself as much as her. "We survive. We adapt, and I will never give up on you." Lyra's hand twitched, reaching for his. He took it immediately, holding it gently. She squeezed his fingers faintly, a small but clear sign of her trust. Ethan smiled. This connection, this bond, was more than words. It was a testament to the strength of human love and devotion, and to the power of care in healing not just the body, but the spirit. Through the night, Ethan stayed vigilant. Strange noises echoed from the cave's outer tunnels, creatures curious about the new presence, or perhaps natural shifts in the cave itself. But he did not falter. He positioned himself so he could shield Lyra if needed, proving that even in exhaustion, a human's courage could stand against the unknown. By dawn, Lyra's breathing had become steady and strong. Her energy marks glimmered with renewed light, a soft glow that reflected the growing trust and gratitude she felt. Ethan allowed himself a quiet sigh of relief. She was not fully healed yet, but she was recovering, and he had kept her safe through the long night. As the first rays of Elithra's sun penetrated the cave entrance, Lyra opened her eyes fully. This time, the glow in them was stronger, brighter, a clear sign of both physical and emotional recovery. She tried to sit up, and Ethan helped her gently. "I thought I'd lost you," he said quietly. "I can't imagine life without you." Lyra's hand reached for his cheek, tracing it lightly. "You saved me," she whispered in broken English, her voice weak but steady. "I'll trust you." Ethan smiled, brushing a strand of her hair from her face. "Always," he said. "No matter what happens, I'll always be here for you." For the first time since the attack, Lyra felt a sense of safety and peace. She realized that it was not just the cave or the healing energy that helped her recover. It was the human who refused to leave her side, who risked everything to ensure she lived. His courage, his determination, and his love had become her greatest sanctuary. Together, they prepared for the next stage of recovery. Ethan knew that the journey ahead would be long. The cave could provide rest and healing, but the outside world still held danger. Yet he felt confident. Humans, he thought, had a way of overcoming challenges through sheer will and care for those they loved. And he had proven that tonight. As the suns climbed higher, Ethan helped Lyra to her feet. She leaned slightly on him, her strength slowly returning. The human and the alien stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. Their bond, strengthened through hardship, had become unbreakable, and the story of courage, love, and resilience continued, a story that would inspire not only themselves, but all who witnessed it. The hidden cave hummed softly with alien energy, a gentle vibration that seemed to pulse through the walls and floor. Ethan had stayed by Lyra's side through the night, and now, as Elithra's twin suns rose higher in the sky, he could see her slowly regaining strength. Her energy marks shimmered more brightly than before, though her body still carried the scars of the attack. Ethan knew that true healing required patience, not just the physical mending of wounds, but also the restoration of spirit. He helped Lyra sit upright on the moss-covered ledge near the glowing stream. "You're stronger than you think," he said, his voice soft. "Every step you take from here is a victory." Lyra blinked at him, a faint smile crossing her lips. Her eyes, once dimmed by pain, now held a spark of life again. Ethan moved around the cave, gathering small crystals and stones that resonated with Elithran energy. These natural elements were said to amplify healing, and combined with human care, they could accelerate recovery. Carefully, he arranged them around Lyra, creating a protective circle. As he worked, he explained each step to her, hoping to keep her engaged and distracted from discomfort. "These crystals will help your energy stabilize," he said. "You'll feel stronger with each pulse." Lyra tried to rise, testing her muscles. I feel better," she said, her voice slightly shaky but determined. Ethan helped her to a kneeling position and offered his arm. Together, they walked slowly around the circle, allowing her body to adjust and strengthen naturally. Each step was measured, and Ethan encouraged her with quiet praise. "You're doing amazing," he said. "Just like the warrior I know." The cave was not only a place of healing, but also a place of trials. The natural energy sometimes created small surges that could be uncomfortable if one's body was unprepared. At one point, a pulse of light flowed through the cave, and Lyra stumbled slightly, her hand clutching Ethan's arm. He steadied her immediately. "It's okay," he said, rubbing her back gently. "The energy is strong, but you're stronger. Lean on me. I've got you." Lyra's trust in him grew with every gesture, every word of reassurance. She realized that the human beside her was unlike any being she had known. Humans were fragile in body compared to Elithrans, yet their spirit could be unwavering, their dedication limitless. She felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and love for Ethan, who had carried her through danger and pain without hesitation. As the day progressed, Ethan prepared a simple meal from nutrient gels and water, feeding Lyra carefully. Each bite she took brought more strength, and her energy marks glowed brighter. He watched her with pride and relief, noting the subtle changes, her breathing more steady, her eyes clearer, her posture less tense. Even in silence, Ethan's presence was comforting, a living shield that reminded her she was safe. In the afternoon, he explored deeper into the cave, seeking additional resources for healing. He discovered small pools of mineral-rich water and soft moss that could be used to wrap her wounds for faster recovery. As he worked, he thought about the attackers who had harmed her and how easily danger could return. But fear did not govern him. Humans, he believed, thrived through courage and ingenuity, and he would meet any threat with careful planning and resolve. Returning to Lyra, he gently applied the mineral moss to her wounds. The cool sensation eased her pain, and she let out a soft sigh of relief. Ethan smiled. "Better?" he asked. She nodded, her lips curving into a small but genuine smile. Later, as the sun began to set, the cave filled with soft, multicolored light from the crystals and Illithran energy. Ethan suggested they meditate together, a technique Lyra had taught him long ago. Sitting cross-legged, he held her hands in his, focusing on calm, steady breathing. He guided her through the process, encouraging her to channel her energy into healing. Lyra felt a warmth spread through her body, not just from the cave's energy, but from the human beside her, whose presence was unwavering and reassuring. Each breath they shared seemed to strengthen her connection to him, reinforcing the bond that had brought them together in the first place. She realized that humans had an unusual ability to care without condition, to endure without complaint, and to give love freely. The meditation lasted for hours, until the cave was bathed in the soft glow of Illithra's twin moons. Lyra's energy marks now shone brightly, almost fully restored. She opened her eyes, meeting Ethan's gaze. "Thank you," she whispered. "I never thought I would feel this." Safe again, Ethan shook his head, brushing a strand of her hair from her face. "You don't have to thank me," he said softly. "I love you. That's all that matters. I would do this 1,000 times over if I had to." A sudden noise echoed from deeper in the cave, a soft scraping, almost like claws against stone. Ethan immediately rose, holding a small pulse device in his hand. "Stay here," he instructed. "I'll check it out." Lyra hesitated but trusted him completely, moving cautiously. Ethan discovered a small pack of cave-dwelling creatures, curious about the new presence. They were harmless, but large enough to cause injury if provoked. Using gentle pulses of energy from his device, he guided them back into the deeper tunnels. When he returned, Lyra smiled faintly. "Even when danger comes, you protect me," she said. "That's what humans do." He replied with a faint grin. "We protect those we care about, no matter what." Night deepened, and Ethan built a small protective barrier using crystals and stones around the resting area. He made sure Lyra was comfortable, adjusting her blanket and checking her wounds one last time. As she rested, he stayed awake, keeping watch. His vigilance was not out of fear, but love, a love so strong that no shadow, no danger, could diminish it. Through the night, he whispered softly, recounting stories of humanity and their exploration across the stars. He shared memories of their life together, their dreams for the future, and small jokes to lighten the tension. Lyra responded with quiet laughter and murmurs, the sound itself a sign of her healing. By morning, Lyra's strength had improved dramatically. She rose with Ethan's support, standing fully upright for the first time since the attack. Her movements were slow, deliberate, but confident. The glow of her energy marks filled the cave, reflecting both physical recovery and the emotional bond she shared with the human who had saved her. "I can walk," she said softly. Looking at Ethan, "You can," he replied, smiling warmly. "And soon, you'll run, fight, and laugh like before. But for now, just take it one step at a time. I'll be right here with you." They walked slowly around the cave, allowing Lyra's body to regain balance and strength. Each step was an achievement, each movement a victory over the pain and fear that had plagued her. Ethan stayed close, ready to support her at any moment, showing that human courage was not just about strength, but about patience, care, and unwavering commitment. As they rested near the glowing stream, Lyra turned to Ethan, her eyes reflecting the soft light of the cave. "I never realized humans could be like this," she said. So strong, not just in body, but in heart. Ethan shook his head with a small smile. Humans have many weaknesses, he admitted. But when it comes to protecting someone we love, we find strength we didn't know existed. I've found mine with you. Lyra reached for his hand, holding it tightly. Then I am grateful. More than words can say. They spent the rest of the day exploring the sanctuary together, finding small natural pools for bathing, soft mosses for resting, and quiet spots to meditate. Ethan taught her new human techniques for healing and defense, while Lyra shared insights about her own culture, combining their knowledge in a way that strengthened both their bodies and spirits. By nightfall, the sanctuary had become more than a place of recovery. It had become a symbol of trust, love, and unity between two beings from very different worlds. Ethan and Lyra sat side by side, watching the soft glow of the cave crystals mingle with the light from Lithra's moons. For the first time since the attack, they felt safe, whole, and connected not only to each other, but to the universe around them. Ethan looked at Lyra, his expression tender. "The journey isn't over," he said softly, "but no matter what comes next, we face it together." Lyra nodded, her hand resting in his. "Together," she whispered. And in that word, in that promise, they both understood that love and courage could conquer even the darkest nights, that the human heart was capable of inspiring hope and healing in ways even the stars could not measure. The hidden sanctuary glowed softly under the twin moons of Elithra, the cave alive with a gentle hum of alien energy. Lyra had fully recovered from her injuries, her energy marks glowing brightly along her arms and neck, and her body strong once more. But the memory of the attack still lingered, a shadow of fear that she could not yet fully shake. Ethan stood beside her, holding her hand gently. "You're ready," he said softly, "stronger than ever. But I'll be with you, no matter what comes." Lyra looked up at him, gratitude and love shining in her eyes. Humans were fragile in body, she thought, but their hearts held a courage and dedication unlike any she had ever known. She could feel it now more clearly than ever, and it filled her with warmth. They left the cave slowly, moving carefully through the forest. Lyra leaned slightly on Ethan, trusting him completely. Every rustle of the trees, every distant call of a creature, reminded her of the dangers outside. But with him by her side, fear seemed less powerful. She had survived because of his courage, patience, and unyielding care. As they reached a small clearing overlooking a sparkling river, Lyra paused. "I never thought I'd feel this safe again," she said quietly. You saved me." Ethan smiled, brushing a lock of her iridescent hair from her face. "I didn't save you alone," he said. "You fought too, even when you were weak. But I promise I'll always protect you." The forest around them seemed to respond to their presence. Birds with translucent wings sang softly, and glowing insects danced in the air. It was as if the world itself recognized the strength of their bond, the courage of a human who would risk everything to save someone he loved. Suddenly, movement in the distance caught their attention. Ethan's instincts went on high alert. A group of figures emerged from the shadows, rogue mercenaries who had attacked Lyra before. They looked determined, dangerous, but the human standing beside Lyra did not flinch. He positioned himself in front of her, ready to defend her once again. Lyra's eyes widened. "Ethan," she whispered. "You don't have to." "I do," he interrupted gently but firmly. "I told you I'd protect you, and I meant it." The mercenaries hesitated. They had seen humans before, but not like this. Ethan did not raise a weapon immediately. Instead, he stood tall, his gaze steady, his presence calm yet powerful. The courage emanating from him was almost tangible, a force that seemed to fill the clearing. "You came for her again," Ethan said calmly, addressing the leader. "But she's under my protection now. You will leave or face the consequences." The leader laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. "A human thinks he can protect an alien warrior? You are weak." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Weak? Maybe. But humans are stronger than you think, stronger than you can imagine." Before the mercenaries could act, Lyra stepped forward beside Ethan. Her energy marks flared brightly, a powerful glow reflecting her regained strength. "He is not alone," she said, her voice steady and commanding. Together, we are stronger than you. Leave or face the consequences. The display of unity and power. Human courage beside Illithran strength was overwhelming. The mercenaries, though formidable, realized they were no match for this pair. Slowly, they retreated, disappearing into the forest shadows. Ethan and Lyra watched them go, their hearts still racing, but their bond stronger than ever. After the danger passed, Ethan turned to Lyra. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. She smiled, brushing a hand across his cheek. "I am, because of you," she said. "You didn't just save my body. You saved my heart." Ethan pulled her into a gentle embrace, holding her tightly. "I told you, Lyra, I will always be here for you." For a long while, they stood together, letting the quiet of the forest settle around them. The bond between them had been tested in ways neither could have predicted, yet it had only grown stronger. Humans, Ethan thought, had a resilience that came from love, courage, and the refusal to give up. And tonight, that resilience had saved not just Lyra, but the hope and trust between their two worlds died as they made their way back toward their home. The journey felt different. The forest was still dense, the terrain still tricky, but each step they took together was lighter. Lyra leaned on Ethan occasionally, and he adjusted his pace to match hers. They spoke quietly of plans for the future, rebuilding what had been lost, strengthening bonds with allies, and ensuring that such attacks could never threaten them again. When they reached a high cliff overlooking the Illithran plains, Lyra stopped and gazed at the expanse below. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her eyes reflecting the vast, shimmering landscape. Ethan stood beside her, holding her hand. "It is," he agreed, "and it's even more beautiful knowing we're here together, that we survived, that we can face whatever comes next." Lyra turned to him, her expression soft but serious. "You showed me what it means to be truly protected, not just by strength, but by love. I never realized humans could be like this." Ethan shook his head gently. "We're not perfect," he said. "We make mistakes, we stumble, but when it matters most, we fight for those we care about. And I will always fight for you." A soft smile curved Lyra's lips, and she rested her head on his shoulder. The bond between them was no longer just a connection of two beings from different worlds. It was a testament to courage, trust, and the power of the human heart. News of Ethan's bravery and unwavering care spread quickly across Illithra. Villagers and allies alike spoke of the human who had saved the warrior queen, not just through strength, but through patience, intelligence, and love. Humans were respected, admired, and celebrated for their dedication, a living example of how compassion and courage could inspire even alien civilizations. In the days that followed, Ethan and Lyra spent time reinforcing the sanctuary, preparing it as a safe place for others who might be in need. Together, they trained, explored, and strengthened their connection, blending human ingenuity with Illithran energy techniques. They laughed, shared stories, and found joy in the simple moments that reminded them why they had fought so hard to survive. One evening, as the twin suns set once more, Ethan and Lyra sat together by the glowing stream in the sanctuary. Ethan took her hands in his, looking deeply into her eyes. "We've faced so much," he said quietly, "but we made it together, and that makes all the difference." Lyra smiled, her energy marks flickering with warmth. "Yes," she whispered. Together, he pulled her into a gentle embrace, holding her close as the soft light of the cave surrounded them. The world outside was vast and unpredictable, full of dangers and unknowns, but within their bond, there was safety, trust, and love. Ethan had shown that humans were capable of extraordinary courage, not just through force, but through the willingness to care, to endure, and to protect. Lyra rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. She had known fear, pain, and uncertainty, but now she knew something even stronger, the power of love that crossed species, planets, and the very fabric of the universe. And as the twin moons of Illithra cast their silver glow across the sanctuary, the human and the alien warriors sat together, unbroken and united. Their hearts had been tested, their courage proven, and their love had become a beacon, a light that could melt even the coldest fears. Ethan whispered softly, "No matter what comes next, I'll always be here." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. "And I'll always trust you," she replied. The stars above twinkled in silent witness to the human's courage and the alien warrior's gratitude. Across the galaxy, the story of their bond would inspire others, a testament to how love, care, and unwavering courage could bridge worlds, heal wounds, and meld hearts. For Ethan and Lyra, the journey was far from over, but they faced the future together, stronger and braver than ever. And in that moment, the universe itself seemed to agree. Love, compassion, and courage were forces more powerful than any danger, more enduring than any wound, and capable of changing even the darkest night into a dawn of hope.